everyone, thanks for tuning in. I hope you're all well wherever you are and whatever you're up to. In this video today, I wanted to chat to you about a project that I'm making at the moment, because it is a little bit more involved than the things that I normally make, and I thought it might be quite nice to just do a sort of in progress report of how I'm getting on with it, because I'm using quite a few different techniques and a new type of fabric that we've got into stock in the shop as well. So I am making the Closet Case Patterns Kelly Anorak, which is this one here, and it's just like a sort of lightweight, it's unlined jacket. Just to be like a sort of quite a transitional piece, sort of autumny into springtime kind of jacket. And I am using some new fabric that we've had in the shop, but I have decided to add an interlining into it, so I'm going to talk to you a bit more about that as it comes up. As I said before, this project is a little bit more involved than the things I usually make. I'm normally sewing stuff all the time, like I've literally always got at least one project on the go, and because I like to make things that are really easy to wear every day, I'm quite often making quite simple stuff, like just a simple top or a simple jumper or something, but every so often I like to just really get my teeth into something and make something a bit more challenging, and this anorak definitely fits that bill. Last winter I made another Closet Case Patterns pattern, which was the clear coat, and I've done a video about that before, and from time to time I think it's nice just to just really get your teeth stuck into something. These type of projects do require obviously more time, and I am using quite a lot of supplies and a lot of fabrics to make this jacket, so it is going to be a little bit more expensive than normally when I just make a jumper or something. But the key thing that I really like about being able to make stuff like this is that I know that I'm going to get a lot of wear out of it. I wear a jacket every single day. I've got quite a few jackets, so I'm maybe not wearing the same one, but I'm going to wear this jacket quite a lot when it's ready. So I feel like I'm gonna get my time's worth out of it, my investment out of it. And also I just really enjoy the challenge of sewing something that's a little bit more challenging rather than just a top or something. So the fabric that I'm using to make the Kelly is some new fabric that we've had in, and I'm really excited that we've managed to get some. It is Millerain waxed cotton, and if you haven't heard of Millerain fabrics before, they are quite an old British company. So I think they started in the late 1800s, and they say that they were the original manufacturers of waxed cotton or waxed canvas, and so it's a really old company that's sort of been passed through the generations, and they've kind of innovated over time and brought out new things but stayed true to their roots, just like a nice story. They're based up in Lancashire now. That's where the fabric comes from. You can get lots of different types of fabric from them, so the one that I've got in stock is called Sahara Stay Wax, and it's not really thick and heavy, but it's not that lightweight either. It's kind of sort of somewhere in between, and it's not as saturated as like some waxed cottons you might have seen where they really feel quite sort of oily and almost like a little bit greasy. It's not quite as saturated as that. I've got the little shade card here that I can show you, and I'll show you up close as well. So when you touch it, it does feel sort of waxy, but when you kind of crinkle it up, it doesn't get the same sort of degree of creasing and blemishes that like a really kind of heavy waxed cotton would get. So it is still splash proof, or I use waterproof with caution, because waterproof is quite an extreme term, but when I'm splashing water on it, you can see that it is water repellent, so it's perfect for a sort of anorak like that. So the Closet Case Patterns Kelly Anorak, that pattern itself comes unlined. It's just designed to be like quite a lightweight sort of over jacket for a kind of transitional kind of weather. But there is options to add a lining to it, so you can buy a PDF expansion pack from the Closet Case Patterns website, which means that you would have all the lining pieces, and then there is also a tutorial that you can follow to underline it, which is where you attach the lining pieces to the bits of the coat before you start sewing it together. So when you sew it together, the lining's just already kind of sort of in there, which is what I've done. So I'm going to talk to you a bit more about that now. So I have chosen to use the tan fabric. We do have 5 really gorgeous, beautiful colours of this fabric. We've got a navy, which is quite a sort of soft, dark, deep navy. We've got this gorgeous peacock teal colour, a maroon colour, sort of aubergine, burgundy maroon kind of colour. We've got the tan, as I said, I'm using, and then we've got this nice khaki green as well. I'm finding it quite hard to capture the tones properly in the camera, but they are absolutely beautiful colours. So yeah, I'm using the tan one for mine. And if I hold a bit up here, let me just find it. I have just, at the moment I'm in the sewing area where I'm making it, and you know when you just feel like there's stuff everywhere. So let me get a bit that was my offcut. So this is it here, and I wanted to just kind of hold it up for you so that you can kind of see like how it moves and how it sort of, I mean it does hold its shape quite well. So you know it's sort of fairly stiff, but it is, I wouldn't say it's like heavyweight, but it's definitely not lightweight either. It's just kind of somewhere in between. When you scrumple it up, it does sort of get some creases that you would expect with cotton, which just helps to sort of give it some character, and that's really normal with fabric that's coated like this. If you scratch it again, you can kind of see it sort of leaves like a bit of a blemish, and it will do that over time as I'm wearing it, but I think that will just help to make it look a bit more broken and yeah, well loved. So that is my fabric. And there are other pattern options that you could use with this fabric as well. You could use the paper cut waver jacket, which I'm just waiting for more stock of at the moment. Probably by the time this video goes out we might have it back in stock again, but I don't actually have one that I can show you. But it's a raglan sleeve jacket, it's got a hood as well, and there's different length options, so it's definitely a more sort of kind of simple option than the Kelly. The construction of it's a bit more straightforward, and it is lined as well, so that's another option. You could also use the Walden by Colette Patterns, the Albion duffel coat, which is this one here. For the jacket for version 2, it suggests you could use canvas or wax canvas, heavy cotton twill, heavy waterproof fabric. So, and I think that this fabric kind of fits into that category. So you could use that too. I have also seen women having this jacket as well. I think it's probably quite a loose style, so it could be more like a unisex pattern, that one. The other one that I had a look at, which I thought you could probably use it for too, is this one, which is the Sewaholic Cypress, which is kind of like a cape. It's a rain cape which features a hood, flat pockets, zip front closure with Velcro, and it's unlined. All hems are bound with bias tape, and it says lightweight woven fabrics such as ripstop, nylon and rainwear fabrics. So because I wouldn't say this stay wax fabric is lightweight, it's a bit more medium weight, it's just going to hold the shape of the cape a little bit more, but you know, you might want that might be part of the look that you're going for. So just a few other pattern options there. I would probably say the Kelly and the Waver would be my top choices. The Waver is just a bit easier than the Kelly, so it depends how much of a challenge that you want to go for that. So I have decided to underline mine, and I had a bit of thin slate fabric that I actually bought to use for my clear coat that I made last year, and in the end I decided not to use it. I'm going to put a link below to where I got the thin slate from. We don't actually stock that. It's like a more of a kind of specialised technical fabric which is known for its insulating properties. So I wanted my jacket to be a little bit more cosy, and what I decided to do, which when I was in the middle of it seemed like a crazy idea, was to quilt the thin slate onto some cotton lawn, which I was going to use for my lining. So it was that I wanted to kind of talk to you a bit more about today. So I've already started constructing the jacket, so I've just got the bits that are kind of left over that I can show you here. But basically what I did was so this is the thin slate here, and then this was the lovely cotton lawn that I chose, the Swooping Swans in navy, and I just put the thin slate on, sort of laid it down onto the back of my Swooping Swans fabric. And you can see here that one side of the thin slate is a bit like cotton wool. It's actually quite sticky, and it was sticking to the fabric a lot as I was using it. So I put that face down, and then the more kind of sort of shinier, sort of flatter side of the thin slate, that's what faced up. So I stuck them together. The thin slate does come quite narrow, so I had 1.5 meters of thin slate, and it is, I'm pretty sure it's 1 meter wide. Yeah, it's 1 meter wide, and I am making the size 6, and I'm not making any changes to it at all, and I just got all of my pieces on. So I'm not doing it on the sleeves, I'm just doing it on the yoke pieces here, the front bodice, back bodice and hood pieces, and there were some creative cutting involved and trying to fit all the pieces on. I couldn't cut anything out on a double layer at all, so I did have to really squeeze it on, but that's because I was kind of limited, like I just had the thin slate already. But yeah, just bear in mind that it is quite narrow in width, the thin slate, so you might need more than what you would need for your other fabrics. So I laid them together, and actually before I laid them together, what I did was I folded 2 creases in the cotton lawn at a 45-degree angle to the selvage. So I just folded it, folded where the ripped edge of the fabric was, because when you rip fabric it always rips straight. So I pulled that ripped edge to the selvage, and then that gave me my 45-degree bias angle. Pressed a crease in it, did the same the other way, so I had this sort of crease cross, see what I did there, on my lawn like that, and then I put the thin slate on the back. I pinned it together. I actually didn't need to end up pinning it as much as I thought I would need to, because it was just sticking to it really well. You could also use a temporary spray adhesive if you wanted to as well, but I just found I didn't need that. And then I started quilting it following these crease lines. So I quilted, I sewed with where the creases were first of all, and then I bought a special attachment for my sewing machine which would help me get even spacing. So the distance that I used between the lines of stitching was 1.5 inches, and you can use this little tool that attaches onto your machine to help you get that consistency. So this is the little tool that I use here. When I went to the sewing machine shop to buy it, I got mine in my local sewing machine shop, which is called Frank Nut, and it's in Kings Heath if anybody's looking for it. So this is specific to the Brother sewing machine, which I have, but you can get them for other models as well. And apparently you can get left and right sided ones, and I got a right sided one, but then I realised that actually I needed to have it on the left because I couldn't fit all of the fabric through the sewing machine. Anyway, I managed to make it work on the left anyway, so it was fine. But it's just like this kind of L-shape thing, and you can use it with a walking foot, or this is like just the normal foot in my machine, and you just kind of push it through like that, and then the distance, you just adjust it to the distance of where your needle's going to fall down versus where this guide is, so that just acts as like your stitch guide basically. So I was lining, after I'd done the crease stitch, I was lining that edge of the thing, the guide up to the stitch line, and then I just quilted it all. It took me way longer than I thought I did, and it was in the middle of that I was like, what am I doing? I can't believe I've decided to do this, but it does look really good. I'm pleased that I've done it now. I think it just gives a really nice effect, and it's going to make the jacket really, really nice and cozy. So once I had quilted all of that and I'd cut out my fabric, I then used my pattern pieces to cut out this lining part of it as well. And then what I did was I hand tacked all of the pieces together. So you can see just on the bottom of the hood here, I've just still got some of my stitching in because I've not attached that to anything else yet. So I did that to all of the pieces, and then you just sort of construct the garment as per you would construct it anyway, as per the instructions, and you just sort of treat the 2 layers of fabric that are now sewn together as one. So far I have sewn the hood. I can model it for you now. Hello. And it feels really, really cozy. It has all ended up a bit sort of more bulky and stiffer, and it's kind of becoming a bit more coat-like than I had thought it would, which I guess is predictable if you've got a big quilted lining on it. But it's made the seams quite bulky, so they suggest that you can either do flat felled seams or faux flat felled seams, so the faux flat felled seam is just where you overlock the raw edge, sew the seam, overlock the raw edges, press them to one side, and then just top stitch it down. So that's what I've done, is the faux flat felled seam, because there's just too many layers of fabric. It's just too bulky to try and turn it under to do a proper flat felled seam, but I think it still looks nice from the outside anyway. So I've done some top stitching on the hood, and then on my body bodice pieces as well. And then I have also put the pockets on to the front of my jacket here, and I'm really pleased with how they are looking. I've been using a jeans sewing machine needle because I just felt like I wanted a needle that was a bit more substantial and stronger, so I've been using a jeans sewing needle. I'm just using normal regular polyester thread, so I like using Gutermann thread, so I'm just using that kind of thread. And I've tried sewing it without a walking foot and with a walking foot, and because I've got this quilted underlining, I really think if you're going to do that, you kind of need a walking foot. I don't think you would get the accuracy, and it would be much harder for the machine to cope with those layers of fabric without a walking foot. So yeah, if you want to do exactly the same as I've done, I'd recommend you do get a walking foot for your machine. And then for pinning, I have done it where I've just pinned as normal, and then for some seams I've also used these little clips here, which we don't have in the shop at the moment, but I have got some in order, so they are coming soon. I've found these clips are much better. They're actually much quicker to put on than pins because there's so many layers. Like getting the pin in is, you know, you have to like really push the pin to get it in properly, and because there are so many layers, the pins have been slightly distorting the seam a little bit, but because these just sort of clip it together, I've found that the seams where I've used these, it's been a lot quicker and easier. The one thing I have been surprised at with this fabric is the pins don't really leave much of a blemish. I just imagined that when you put pins in it, it would kind of leave a hole behind and would sort of scar the fabric a bit, but it actually doesn't really. I've not found that it does that at all. If anything, if you notice, they just kind of give it a bit of a rub and it kind of goes away. So I have been able to pin the fabric and it's been fine. It's more just because I've got all of those layers that I think these little clips are a little bit better. But I'll put the jacket on now so that you can see what it looks like. So it's feeling a bit more kind of stiff than I had thought it would, and there is this optional drawstring which I would still quite like to put in, but it is quite fitted without it anyway. I've obviously not hemmed it yet, but it's coming kind of sort of like to the middle of my thighs, and then yeah, it's feeling good, it's feeling cozy. So I've obviously still got the hood to put on, I've got the sleeves to put on, and then I've got the zip to put on as well. On the subject of zips, I've managed to find these really, really amazing zips. Let me find them in my mess of things. And they match the colours of fabric that we've got really, really well. So I'm going to be using this really nice tan coloured one. And then we've also got a maroon one which matches nicely. The khaki one is just a perfect match. For the navy colourway that we've got, the black actually looks good with that. It's quite a soft black because the navy's so deep and dark. The black looks good with that. And then for the teal peacock colour, we're recommending the navy zip. Remember, you don't see the whole of the zip tape once the zip's on, so you won't see the whole of the colour, but I think the zips look really nice. I'm excited about putting that in. They're YKK zips and they've got a nice sort of chunky puller as well. The other thing that I wanted to show you too are the different Anorak snaps that we've got too. I keep all of my snaps in this handy little box. This is actually a fishing tackle box that I got on Amazon, but I totally love it. It's so good and useful. So on mine, because I've already done them on my pockets because you have to do it at that stage, I'm using these kind of brass ones here, but we do also have rose gold ones, and we've also got these kind of more bronzy ones. So yeah, they're all really nice. I thought these kind of yellowy, goldy, brassy ones looked the best with my tan colour. We have got all of them too. We have got silver, but I feel like silver's quite kind of harsh contrast, but we do have that as an option as well. And then we do have the other bits of hardware too. So we've got the cord, I'm just waiting for more eyelets to come in, and then we've obviously got the zip. So you do need quite a few different bits and pieces for this jacket, but I think it's fun kind of trying to gather all those things together and make it all work and make it fit in. So yeah, that is my jacket so far. If anybody's got any questions about what I've done with the jacket or how I found it, or if you're thinking about making it but you're not sure, then please do just let me know in the comments section. I will report back to you once I've actually finished it. It's one of those things that now I was actually quite scared about starting it. It just is such an involved project and the fabric's really special, and I was nervous about cutting it and getting started, but now I'm in it, I'm like, I just want to get it finished. So hopefully I will get it finished soon and then I can share the finished article with you. But thanks very much for watching, guys. If you haven't subscribed, just remember to hit subscribe so that you can see the next installment of this project and my other videos as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye!